Take a look at implementing a split complementary color scheme next. A split complementary scheme is made up of three colors, one color, and its complement's closest analogous colors. In this example, we'll use green, red-orange, and red-purple. We'll use the same primaries that we've used throughout: alizarin crimson, ultramarine, and cadmium yellow light. Again, we'll begin with the background by mixing a lighter value of green. We'll cover the entire surface, and in areas we'll allow some of the yellow and the blue to show through. We'll lighten up the bottom of the picture plane by creating a lighter value, and then create a subtle transition to a darker value above. We can continue to develop the background, allowing some of the brush strokes to show through for added interest and locations of accent. We'll create a darker version of the green for the area of cast shadow. Here again, I've mixed burnt umber and ultramarine to create a natural black, and then mixed that with our green mixture. Then we'll begin to establish the areas of shadow on the pair, this time using a darker value of red-purple. Now we'll go back with a lighter version of red-orange. Here again, we'll begin to develop the dark and light values. For the darker values, we'll concentrate on using red-purple, and for the lighter values, we'll concentrate on using red-orange. Red-purple is used for the shadowed areas because it is inherently cooler as a color than red-orange. Typically, areas of highlight will make more sense when we have a warmer color there. Areas of shadow will make more sense with a cooler color in those locations. Therefore, it wouldn't make much sense to use the red-purple in areas of highlight and use the red-orange in areas of shadow. We'll use a bit of the red-purple for the blemishes on the pair, and then we'll use a light value of the red-orange for the highlights. We can use the darker mixture of red-purple to establish the shape of the stem. While this area dries, we'll clean up the area of cast shadow a bit. And then we can go back and add some highlights on the stem using a light value of red-orange. And now we can remove the tape for this section and move on to our final section. In the fourth section, we'll take a look at a complementary color scheme. Complementary colors are colors that are opposites from each other on the color wheel. In this example, we'll use red and green, but other complementary schemes include orange and blue, and yellow and purple. Complementary schemes provide the highest level of contrast. We'll start with the background, and in this study, we'll make the background red. Here again, we'll use the same primaries that we've used throughout: alizarin crimson, ultramarine, and cadmium yellow light. Here again, we'll create a subtle transition from darker values at the top of the picture plane to lighter values at the bottom of the picture plane. And just as we have in the other sections, we'll allow the brush strokes to be visible and allow for some locations of accent. We'll develop the area of cast shadow again with a darker value of the alizarin crimson. We'll create a green by mixing ultramarine and cadmium yellow light. We'll create a darker version of that green by mixing that color with our natural black. again a mixture of burnt umber and ultramarine. We'll establish the shape first, and then darken up the area of shadow. Now we'll go back with a lighter mixture, a tint of our green mixture, to start to establish some of the midtones and areas of highlight on the pear. And again, some of the color underneath will show through, allowing full control over the transitions of value that occur. A subtle area of reflected highlight is added, using a lighter value of the green. Then we can intensify the lighter values. As we've done in the other sections, the process is the same. We'll continue to work the dark and light value relationships, creating a full range on the pear. We can also add bits of blemishes by using darker versions of the green. We'll create a darker shadowed area by using a darker value of the alizarin crimson. Here we can further define the shape of the shadow, and then clean up the edges of it with a lighter value of the alizarin crimson. We'll continue to increase the value range and strengthen the contrast by making some of the shadows a bit darker. For the stem, we'll use a darker value of the green. And then we'll create highlights using a lighter value of the green. And then of course, we'll add areas of highlight on the pear using a very light value of the green. Now we can remove the tape. Now each one of these paintings was a small study, but evaluating the painting as a whole, it's determined that the first square, the monochromatic square, needs a bit more work. We need to push the value range a bit further. So I'll revisit this square just to make sure that the entire painting as a whole looks consistent and unified. So we'll push the value range a bit further, making the contrast between the dark values and light values a bit stronger. Once we've enhanced the lighter values and the darker values, we can revisit transition areas with a midtone, using alizarin crimson to create these transitions. And then with a darker value of alizarin crimson, we can go back and add the details and blemishes. And then of course, since we covered up some of the details we put in before, we'll go back and add those intense highlights. Again, with a very light value of alizarin crimson. We can also strengthen the shadow. And now the value range is more complete and is more unified with the other studies that we created. So what did we discuss in this module? We looked at 4 different color schemes and created small studies of each. We looked at monochromatic, analogous, complementary, and split complementary schemes, but many more possibilities exist. We learned that as long as the value range is accurate, the possibilities for creative use of color in a painting are endless.